Yep,
Okay.
you're good.
Yeah. So, we can go ahead and call this meeting.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Can I call the roll, Madam Chairwoman?
Yes, please.
Alderman Moore. Alderman Vaccaro.
Present.
Alderman Cone.
Present.
Alderwoman Howard. Alderman Mohammed. Alderwoman Middlebrook.
Present.
Alderwoman Davis.
Present.
President Reed.
You have 4 members present.
Thank
have
you.
4.
We have 4 bills before us today, and I'd like to ask the presenter to take the seat and start with Board Bill number 42.
All right, good morning, committee members. I'm Jerry Beckman. I'm the airport's Deputy Director for Planning and Development. Often Antonio Strong would be talking about these board bills, but he has some training commitments this morning. I'm here to request your approval of 2 related board bills. These are Board Bills 42 and 43. 42 is the draft ordinance authorizing the transfer of up to $4 million from the Debt Service Stabilization Fund to the Airport Development Fund to make funds available to address an emergency situation at Coldwater Creek. The second board bill is a draft ordinance authorizing the First Amendment to Public Works Ordinance 70617 to include the Coldwater Creek emergency repairs in that scope of work. What has occurred is late in February, a sinkhole occurred at the airport at the Missouri, or near the Air National Guard facility. And just point to it briefly here. It is between Taxi Lane Charlie and the former Air National Guard facility. It was a failure of about 500 feet of 2 linear corrugated metal pipes. So what has happened is, this has the potential during heavy rain to flood our runways and taxiways. We are currently pumping around the blockage, but this first phase of the project would allow us to reestablish that channel such that there's a natural water course to relieve the water from the possibility of flooding. We are working with our insurance claims adjuster and the Metropolitan Sewer District to determine the permanent fix in the area, as well as the overall responsibility for which may cost $8 million for the overall repair. As I mentioned, this $4 million is for the first of 2 stages to reestablish that channel. We have worked with the Comptroller to request surplus funds in our Debt Service Stabilization Fund for this emergency, and the Comptroller recently approved those funds. And we respectfully request your approval of this emergency project.
If I may, there's one additional thing I would like to add to that. Jerry mentioned that the Comptroller authorized these funds. In our Debt Service Stabilization Reserve Fund, we have a fairly significant overfunding of it because as our debt has been paid down and as we've been able to do the refundings, obviously the need for that requirement in there has been less. So we've opted to keep that money along with the Comptroller in the reserve fund to have it for emergency uses rather than take it out and put it in our airport development fund. So it was originally, I believe, a little just shy of $8 million overfunded at the beginning of the year. So this still leaves a pretty nice balance in the overfunding section of that.
Great.
All right, thank you. Okay. We'll start with questions. Alderman Vaccaro.
So it's $4 million.
Yes.
How much is apparently they're gonna dig a ditch for the water runoff?
Correct.
How much is that?
What we have to do is, we have to dig a ditch, and you got to appreciate the flow line of this pipe is about 25 to 30 foot below grade. So once we will dig a ditch, we will remove the existing corrugated metal pipes, and then we will reestablish a rock line channel through there, as well as slope back the excavations to accommodate the great depth.
So you're gonna make a French drain through there?
Of sorts, yes. It's basically, it'll be an open channel as to where it used to be underground
Okay, so
before this
4
condition.
million, how much of it's going toward that?
There is about $3 million going towards that. The other funds are for professional services, for design, for construction management, for geotechnical services, and so on.
And then repaving over the taxiway, right?
Well, that is not in this phase of the,
I didn't see that.
Appropriation.
And then you mentioned there's insurance is paying something.
we do not know what the insurance company will pay. They will be closely observing at the point that we excavate the corrugated metal pipes to make their final determination. It should also be noted, if we have insurance participation in this, we have a $1 million deductible.
Well, you wouldn't need 4 million then. And then you were mentioning how much of this is going toward Coldwater Creek. You were mentioning, you know, and it seems popular to always throw something in that's, you know, but you're telling me it's all going to dig the ditch.
So Coldwater Creek flows underneath the airport from the south to the north. About 1.3 miles of it is beneath the surface of the airport. This happens to be the first 500 feet of Coldwater Creek.
Where the actual collapse is.
So, but now I'm even have more concerns, because now you're telling me it flows under there now, and now you're gonna open it up, you're gonna dig down, and you're gonna allow it to flow farther down through this.
If I may. Oops, thank you.
It's contained now, but we're gonna move it
So right
around.
now, Coldwater Creek flows very approximately like this on an S shape underneath the airport, kind of mimicking its original water course. What we have is a condition where this grassy area effectively has collapsed.
Right.
So until we reestablish this, the grassy area will be an open channel.
But you're gonna, more so, you're gonna dig it from where to where?
We're gonna dig from here to here, as well as because of the depth, we have to slope back, you know, so it kind of gets a little bit wider as well.
So but you're gonna, see, I understand, you got a sinkhole, you're gonna dig a hole. The water right now has always been underground, but now we're going to more or less let it flow somewhere up on top of the ground out there.
Well, it'll be
But
at
if
the
it's
same depth as it was before, but yes.
But if it's contaminated, aren't we letting this stuff now out and going, moving? I mean, shouldn't there be some sort of a containment there,
Well-
not make a new creek to flow?
No, I mean, I don't have any reason to believe that the water is contaminated at this point.
Then, but we had mentioned it here, it made it sound like it's, I mean, I don't know, it just seems to me that it makes it sound like it's got to do with Coldwater Creek.
Well, the area is
Well-
Coldwater Creek. I mean, where it flowed before.
It also, you know, Coldwater Creek, south of the airport, drains several square miles in the St. Anne area, for instance, and takes that underneath the airport as well. So Coldwater Creek does not only drain the airport, it drains the upstream portions as well.
So we're contaminating,
It's stormwater runoff.
It's
Right.
stormwater runoff.
Stormwater.
It's no different than, you know, rain in the city. It's got to have somewhere to go.
And we have, just to ease any concerns you may have, you know, I mean, we've obviously had consultants, both environmentalists as well as structural, working with us through this whole project. So this hasn't been designed by the airport. We've had outside consultants who deal with this every day to do the work to look at it, both from an environmental standpoint as well as the structural standpoint.
And EPA just did a recent report for that area out there, and they didn't see any violations or anything of concern. There have been a lot of talk, concern from residents and the government, and all the studies have been done, and they came back clean. There will be some remediation done in some parts of it, but it's not near us. And so that's already been reported to the commission, and we've been through that part of it already.
The challenge is if we don't fix this, we're gonna have a major issue on.
Well, now, you're gonna erode all that runway there, and we can't afford that.
No, we can't.
I have no other questions.
Anything else?
No, I said I have no
Oh,
other
okay.
questions.
Thank you, Alderman Cone.
I am just curious, is this at all in MSD's jurisdiction? I mean, you know,
So-
our whole creek system feeds into, you know, their system at some point in time or another. But does this one specifically fit into their jurisdiction? And, you know, I know that we've been increasing MSD rates pretty steadily over the last several years. So would there be an opportunity for them to help with funding around this issue?
So MSD has an easement in which this section of pipe lies, as well as the remainder of Coldwater Creek as it flows under the airport. However, that easement is from 1929, and it doesn't define maintenance responsibilities. So that is part of the airport's discussion with MSD. We are, you know, they haven't volunteered to assist in payment. We put them on notice, and we will continue. We're meeting next week with the legal team to kind of sort out the information that we have before we make a larger request to MSD.
Part of the challenge is, you know, we can't go into the winter operation without this being fixed.
Right.
So if we waited until we had both the insurance decision and the MSD decision, and we will fight on both of those to ensure that there is some opportunity for the airport, but we don't know that outcome. We needed a cash flow to be able to start the process and get things moving, which is why we went to the overfund.
Oh, I mean, I understand that specifically for this, you know, portion of the project, but I mean, it sounds as though the Coldwater Creek, well, it's clearly underneath a significant portion of our runway. And so I'm just thinking future maintenance issues that might result as,
Well,
you know.
and I'm not sure I've answered all your question. I will also say, you know, MSD investigated the creek most recently, the structural condition of it in 2010. The airport did our own limited look at it in 2015, and, you know, the potential structural issues weren't identified.
Okay. So, now, in the area that you all are creating this gully, French trench, whatever you want to call it, you know, I mean, will there be like a rain garden of sorts to help with, you know, kind of water mitigation issues? So, or, I mean, is that even an option?
Not in that sense. We will
Okay.
be, I mean, no rain garden. We will be, you know, sloping back the sides of the excavation to prevent, you know, additional soil erosion. And we'll be putting large riprap rock in the bottom of it, and some up the sides of the channel, as well as some establishing, putting down, what I want to say, basically straw mats to keep the earth in place.
Okay, I mean, is there a reason why you wouldn't want to do something that's, I guess, ecological and functional at the same time?
Well, I
Other
think
than
this,
river rock?
because this is an emergency situation, we're hoping it's a very temporary condition. As the director mentioned, we're hoping to get the culvert replaced and the areas repaved yet this calendar year. So anything like that would be a throwaway.
Okay. Okay, I don't have any other questions.
All right. Alderman Middlebrook?
I have no questions.
Okay.
I'm going to follow up.
Go right ahead, sir.
So, say the insurance or MSD kicks in, then what? What happens with the money?
It goes back into our flow of revenue funds, so it has to go, we have the airport, the structure of the airport, any reimbursements would actually go through the flow of revenues, and there's 13 buckets that dictate how that revenue that comes in gets distributed down.
So it can't go back in the fund, we're taking it out of the emergency fund.
It cannot. But again, that emergency fund, and next year we have another large refunding of over $140 million. So that fund's gonna grow substantially next year as well, the overfunded part of that. Because as we do the refunding and as the debt gets paid down, it needs less and less in there, and we haven't been able to take it out. We kept it in there, one, for the credit rating, but to also to be able to use it for emergencies like this. So next year, we anticipate that almost all, if not all of this amount would be made up next year when we do the actual refunding of a larger portion of bonds, and that particular segment of the reserve fund will have more money in it because the rate's gone down.
I can just say, I wish in the future we would have the engineer, whoever's, obviously done a lot of study, you said, I sure wouldn't have minded having someone from there come in and explain, because I still, when you start talking about Coldwater Creek, I mean, it's just so much in the news and so much of a problem and so many areas that,
Alderman,
Yeah.
most of that is north of the airport. As the creek exits up here, this is the area. As a matter of fact, this site is occupied by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and as part of their haul out to the railroad track, but much of what you're speaking of actually occurs on that water course up there.
And which direction is the creek
North,
flowing?
north to the Missouri River.
Yeah, so it won't affect us. Just very briefly, just for the general public, to simplify this a little bit. Currently in the city of St. Louis, when you build a parking lot, we have to address the same things in the sloping of the lot and making sure that we don't have water that's collected and cause problems. This will be probably, as we've said before, this is a temporary fix so that we don't run into an emergency problem sooner than necessary. And all the other what-ifs will be answered as we continue with the geo studies and all that have to be finished and find the unknowns, if there are some unknowns. And so hopefully we won't have any and we can move forward without spending any additional money.
I make a motion that we pass Board Bill 42 out with a due pass recommendation.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
It's been moved and second. Would you please call the roll?
Alderman Moore, Alderman Vaccaro,
I'll pass for a minute.
Alderman Cone,
Aye.
Alderwoman Howard, Alderman Muhammad, Alderwoman Middlebrook,
Aye.
Alderwoman Davis,
Aye.
President Reed, Alderman Vaccaro,
And I'll say no.
Okay.
You have 3 ayes and 1 no vote.
Okay, so the Board Bill 42 passes. Thank you. Let's move on to Board Bill number 43.
Okay, as I indicated, Board Bill 43 is a draft ordinance authorizing the First Amendment to Public Works Ordinance 70617 to include the Coldwater Creek emergency repairs in the list of approved project. This would authorize the airport to proceed with the project using the funds transferred to the Airport Development Fund.
Let's start with committee questions, please. Alderman Shay. Cone. Oh, I'm sorry, Alderman Vaccaro. I'm looking at you and I'm thinking about it. Okay, Alderman Vaccaro.
None.
Okay. Alderman Cone.
Not anything major. My question is more so related to the formatting of the board bill, because I'm noticing a bit of a trend here. So you all are referring to St. Louis International Airport with the registered trademark logo after the, I mean, that's not the actual legal name, that's more for marketing purposes. So I don't understand why you would like have a registered mark, like,
Well, we had, initially, when we changed the name to St. Louis Lambert International Airport, we had to use, because it had not been approved by the FAA, we were using, what's the word for it?
It's a registered mark,
Registered, right. Then we
right.
got the approval from the FAA for the name change, so then it actually uses the trademark name.
but the trademark isn't the legal, like, having the R in there is not the legal name, the trademark. So, like, I'm pretty sure that you don't include the trade, like, Citigroup, you know,
Right.
is a trademark name, but in contracts
We do
with
want
Citigroup.
everything,
Yeah.
But I'm just, I don't think that that's, I don't think that that's an appropriate way to write a legal document. You don't include the little button after the trademark on legal documents.
Can we confirm with our
Legal
counsel
department.
for you?
That
Yeah,
has been
absolutely.
done.
Yeah.
I'm just, I mean, when you enter, like,
Mhm.
you know, working for for-profit companies, you know, when a for-profit company enters into a contract agreement, they don't say Citigroup TM, you know, after, you know, Citigroup Inc. or whatever, you know, I mean, it's just, you don't write a contract that way. So, I would suspect that you don't write a law that way either, you know, but.
Yeah. I can tell you
I-
our legal department puts it in everything, but we will check when we get back.
They clearly love their marketing, but, you know, I don't think that that's, check with the attorneys.
Okay.
But
We will confirm.
other than that, I don't really have any questions about this board bill.
Okay. Alderwoman Miller,
I have no questions.
okay.
I make a motion that we pass board bill 43 out with a due pass recommendation.
I'll second
I'm fine with previous role.
it. Okay, previous row. Hear no objection. Board bill passes.
Thank you.
Go right ahead, sir.
Good morning. My name is Robert Salarano. I'm the airport's Properties Division Manager. We're requesting your approval of the Second Amendment to the lease agreement with MHS Travel and Charter. You may recall that in January 2018, we requested your approval of the First Amendment to this agreement. MHS Travel and Charter is going to construct a new hangar on the north side of the airport. And in that First Amendment, increased the rent payments due from MHS Travel and Charter, adjusted the term, and included a commitment from MHS to spend a minimum of $5 billion on the new hangar. The reason for this Second Amendment is to take account for a change to the drainage systems around the new hangar. As the design of the hangar has progressed, it's become apparent that MHS is going to need to make substantial changes to the current way the system drains. And this Second Amendment will ensure that MHS pays for and constructs the new system according to our standards. And once they've constructed it, the title to the new system will vest immediately to the city. We'll become responsible for maintenance and repair of the drainage system, but MHS Travel and Charter will reimburse us for all the costs related to that maintenance and repair. We respectfully request your approval of this Second Amendment.
Okay. Any questions, Alderman Vaccaro?
So how much more is their rent going up?
Their rent, Alderman, went up from $196,020 a year to $211,185. About 20% maybe? Yeah.
Not that much.
Well, no, I'm sorry. About 10,000, but that's on their hangar, which is only 33,000 square feet of land. And that is, you know, it's just empty land that they have to build that hangar over now.
But they have a hangar there
They have a hangar adjacent to this land,
Not on this property.
not on this property. They're gonna have to build it.
now. And they're gonna sell them the whole second piece of property for roughly $10,000.
It's about, pardon me, yes, sir, about $16,000.
You look at this, the square footage cost for that, and I think, what is it, like?
It's 45 cents a square foot, which is, that was the part of the First Amendment, and that was a pretty good price for what they're gonna have to do and where they're putting that property.
And we
Yeah.
have appraisals on
Yeah.
that, as well as reaffirmative appraisals on that,
Yeah.
so.
And when do they plan on starting?
They plan on starting almost immediately after the Second Amendment's approved. They plan on completing the new project, completing the new hangar within a year.
We're excited about new construction of the new hangar on the airport.
Yes. Okay. Alderman Cone?
So this is a capital expenditure on their part.
Yes, completely.
So why do we have to pass an amendment to this? If, I mean, if the first bill like requires them to spend a capital investment of not less than $5 million. They're already meeting that threshold, I presume.
They are, and
So-
they're gonna meet that threshold and exceed it. And this amendment really doesn't affect the capital expenditure requirement. It makes clear that the system that they're constructing, even parts of it that they'll make adjustments outside their premises to drain the entire thing, it makes sure that they do it to our standard and that it sets up the reimbursement mechanism for, we don't want to be responsible for maintaining and repairing the larger system without reimbursement.
So they're making the capital improvement. This is ensuring that the capital improvement is done to City of St. Louis standards or airport standards.
And the part outside the premises, because everything in that First Amendment, the tenant's construction goes back to the premises. And as they've went forward with their design,
So this is granting them an easement of sorts, or
it's
like,
not really
are
an
we
easement,
actually
because
leasing?
no, sir, we will take, the title will vest to us
Mhm.
when we're done. So there's no easement or anything like that. They build it, and then we take control of it, which we definitely want to do. And then we maintain it to our standards, and MHS reimburses us for those
Okay,
payments.
all right, thank you.
Alderman Middlebrook?
I have no questions.
Okay.
I make a motion that we pass Board Bill 44 out with a due pass recommendation.
I'll second that one.
It's been moved in second.
Previous roll. I'm kidding. I withdraw my motion for previous roll.
Okay, call roll.
Alderman Moore, Alderman Vaccaro,
Aye.
Alderman Cone,
Aye.
Alderwoman Howard, Alderman Mohammed, Alderwoman Middlebrook,
Aye.
Chairwoman Davis,
Aye.
President Reed. You have 4 aye votes, Madam
All
Chairwoman.
right, thank you. Thank you very much. I'd just like to take 2 minutes with my committee people, but thank you.
May we ask a question? Just
Sure, go
general?
right ahead.
Rhonda, Madam Director, where are things in Jefferson City with regard to the airport commission and the composition of it?
That board bill hasn't moved forward. We're watching it very closely, but there was a bill submitted to have an oversight committee from the state level. I and Mike Garvin went up about a month ago to testify against that bill and all the reasons why and the actual legality of being looking at something, because FAA doesn't allow the third party veto power. And so we testified to that, and then a new bill, then pieces of that bill got sent into another one, and as of right now, none of those are moving forward.
Okay,
So
great, thank you.
we're watching it on a daily basis. Relative to that, there is one question I'd like to ask the chairman of the committee. When I wasn't here last week, but Antonio shared with me that there was a request for the regional administrator to meet from the FAA. They don't meet with the public or with entities, so I guess that what they've asked for is what would you like to know? I think they would, if there's questions you'd like to know, the regional administrator, if this is relative to oversight of the airport, they can answer questions. If it's relative to privatization, the regional administrator doesn't have anything to do with that.
Oh, no, it's just,
So-
basically, this committee needs to understand the roles of all the entities that
Okay.
govern and or support the airport system.
Okay,
And so you can read it on a piece of paper,
Mhm.
but it's not the same as having it voiced from someone.
Okay.
So any inappropriate questions that we may ask, they have the right to say they can't answer. We have no problems with that.
okay. I think, and I will chat with them today, they may decline that. So I just am trying to, I thought I would share with them what the committee was looking for, so I could give them some heads up.
I hope they don't decline it, because then I will go another route, and they
Okay.
will talk to us.
Okay.
Okay.
I will forward that back to them
Okay.
today and let you know what they
Okay.
say. And then relative to the union groups, who with the unions are you trying to meet with the stewards that are at the airport, or are you trying to meet with individuals that are responsible for those unions in a broader role?
I'm gonna,
Probably their business rep for,
yeah.
The business reps?
Business reps.
Okay, so those
Yeah.
would be actually the business reps at the airport, or the business, we have shop stewards with each one, and then the business rep typically comes from the organizations.
So the business reps that I see at the airport are the ones that I want to
Okay.
talk to.
Okay, we'll work on that, so that would be, I think, more.
And so you know who's represented there.
Oh, yeah, we
Yeah.
have, I think we
Yeah.
have 7, I believe.
For just airport authority?
Yeah. Yeah,
For the airport authority.
Uh-huh.
right. So,
Okay.
so we have, and each one of those has a shop steward or a business rep unit
Uh-huh.
at the airport that is a liaison. I just wanted to make sure who we were looking for. So we're looking for the person that's actually at the airport
Okay.
that represent, is that, I mean.
No, I'm good for that.
Okay.
And let me explain my reason for it. I know everybody else wants as much information as possible, but anything that I've ever been a part of, it is better for me to hear directly from those who have responsibilities, okay? Because if I only get it from one source, I can't make determinations for myself when we're making decisions or even having a better understanding.
Okay.
So as much information as we can get firsthand,
Mhm.
that's what I like to have.
Okay, and then, so as we ask the business reps, do you want them to come prepared with a presentation, or you want them just to be here to ask questions?
They should be prepared, that's their job, that's what they do every day. That's all we want to know.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we'll tell them to talk a little bit about the union, they represent the employees.
Mhm.
Okay, we can, and do you want that at a meeting here, down here, or did you want that held at the airport?
Well, we had talked about at the last committee meeting about going to the airport.
Okay,
And probably both of those could take place at the same time,
okay,
if their schedules are okay
Okay.
with that.
okay,
And then we talked about touring some of the airport as well.
okay. So
Yeah.
we'll plan on trying to set those up at the airport.
Mhm.
If anybody wants a tour, we can set a tour up afterwards,
Mhm.
after the meeting, if anyone wants to stay for that. If I'll let you know what the
Yeah.
FAA administrator says
Yeah.
from the region, and then we'll go from there.
I
We'll
think
need our
one of the-
parking privileges reinstated for that.
We will
particular
validate it for the
meeting.
day. If you're coming to do
I'm
business at
just,
the
I'm
airport.
totally kidding.
He's kidding.
I'm
He's
totally kidding.
Yeah. So I think that'll be good, and I tell you, one of the things that I found very interesting, I don't even think I was on transportation at that time, I was just being nosy, and I got in on a tour when we were talking about doing the hub, the cargo hub, and we really saw a lot of operations that are not just there in the main terminal.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
extremely interesting,
Yeah,
it
no, we
really
can do
is. So I think that might be helpful.
No, we like to do that aircraft,
Yeah.
the airfield tour. It gives you a
Yeah.
better perspective, and we can
yeah.
also, we can highlight a couple other things, where the hangar's going. If the
Uh-huh.
hangar's going, we can highlight some other things going on, so.
Okay, okay.
All right, well, we'll work on that, and we'll keep you posted.
All right, thank you.
So somewhere, I'm assuming in the next 30 days, you're looking for.
It would be appreciative, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you all.
And I'll try to do that on a Thursday morning, along with the regular meeting schedule.
Yes.
Sounds good.
So just to give you another update on this, what is it, draft contract,
The consultant agreement.
consultant agreement, it still hasn't moved. I don't anticipate it moving anyway soon. There's still people who have concern about the content. I don't want to forecast anything, but at some point, they will have to decide whether or not they're going to even move forward with the concept, because you just can't keep this hanging out here forever. And a lot of people have already spent a lot of money on preparing those who anticipate being a part of a team for various segments of the exploration. So you can't just leave people hanging out there forever. But irregardless of what happens with that, I think it's really helpful for us to be as educated as possible about what really goes on at the airport. And then we don't have to guess about a lot of things, and we will have some kind of idea about what is being presented to us in these bills. The, what do you call it? The commissioners that sit at the airport currently have a lot of concern about the future of contracts there. They want to see more minority participation. They want to see more, they want to see some turnover. Some of them mentioned some folks have had contracts 50 years. And it seems as though there might be somebody else that's qualified. It's not likely that the same person would always win the same contract over 50 years. So there's a lot of concern, a lot of questions being asked. And I think that's good. I think that's healthy. And give you a good example, They just approved the contract for cleaning services, and I don't know if you all got phone calls or emails, but the union had concerns about the new company that was on the horizon to receive it. There was a lot of conversation before that was approved, and the only saving grace was the guy who is now heading this particular company out of Paris. He's only been there about 10 months, but his reputation other places is better than that company was. And so he's turning some things around, and people felt more comfortable with him. That company that received that contract here employs 750,000 people around the world, and they're going after a lot of contracts here in the United States now. At the end of the meeting, what I did like, what I saw was, he engaged the people who are small subs on that contract to come to his team and go with him to bid in Boston and a couple other places. So that gave us a little bit of comfort too.
What company?
The name of the company, I wish I could tell you that right now, and I don't. But what I'll do is, I'll send it to you by email, okay? I'm bad on keeping all those names and titles in my head, but I will make sure that I send it to you.
But they're out of Paris.
Yes, they are.
I mean, considering that we got really big cleaning companies here.
Well, that was our problem. We were just not understanding it. But at the end of the day, they gave us a really
Paris,
good.
France?
Yes.
Yeah, for real. Yeah,
It's Paris, Illinois, it's.
yeah.
I
So
thought
they
you were
give us a
talking
good
about
deal on the
Paris,
contract though.
Texas.
Yeah. So you
I'm
gotta
kidding.
go with it if you can save money. But we were just believing that,
Well, the reason I ask is that's where they wanted to give the water company to. There's a group out of
oh,
Paris.
yeah, no, it's
Veolia.
not them. Oh, I would have known that right away, and we would still be in the meeting now if it was them. No.
She'd remember Veolia.
Oh, for sure.
I think,
For sure.
if we did it right, we can give it all to Paris.
Yeah.
We can let them have the cleaning, we can rename it. You know, maybe we'll get international flights, because people think they're flying to Paris.
Well, you never know.
No, I think it's
I
ridiculous.
doubt it, but you never know.
I just think it's ridiculous.
Yeah, but I wanted to share that with you because that was a very interesting meeting, and people are beginning to wake up and ask a lot of questions. It's not liked that we ask a lot of questions, but I tried to, on behalf of just having peace for myself, I let them know, don't snap me up, don't cut me off. That's our job, to sit there and ask questions. So,
I don't think in my 10 or 11 years here, plus my 4 years out at the airport, I've never seen one contract voted down.
oh, we
They
did.
bring, I've
We
never
have
seen
now.
it. I've
Yeah.
never seen a board bill
Yeah.
not get passed.
Did I adjourn this meeting?
No,
No, ma'am.
it's still
Oh.
going on, it's all being filmed.
We'll move to adjourn the meeting. Okay.
So we're adjourned?
Yes, we're adjourned.